Welcome to the Hockey Writers Ink, the show where the writer is fresh off the presses and the ink is not dry. Relax, the keyboard is off and the press box is closed, but the mic is just getting warmed up. Join your host, Lance Green, the guardian of the blue paint turned writer, and your co-host, Ron SteelFlyers, as we bring you all the latest on the Philadelphia Flyers. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next episode of the Hockey Writers Ink with your host, Lance Green.
All right, guys, back again with your dose of Flyers podcastism. All right, that isn't a word, but I just made it a
That
word.
was a mouthful, wasn't it?
Yes. So, yeah, we got some topics to go over here, Steel, huh?
Well, there's no such thing as off season for us,
Right.
right? So a lot's happened, a lot's going on. First of all, we would like to say big thank you to Jake and the boys at lowercaseblues.net. Really appreciate that, man. Really love you guys, man. Really appreciate all the music that you guys do. By the way, you got to hop on over to lowercaseblues.net and check out all their latest swag, check out all their latest dates, the latest albums, and check out some cool videos that they've done. Man, you just got to go over there and check them out, man. Lowercaseblues.net. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Lance, we got a long way to go and a short time to get there because there's a lot of stuff that's been going on here with the Flyers, right? I mean,
For sure.
since last we talked, not only have we gotten a brand new coach, I mean, we talked about the coach talking being hired, but holy moly, how about we do this, right?
Yeah.
Episode number 195, with the draft fast approaching, the Philadelphia Flyers are taking care of business. And that means that they're bringing in coaches. They're bringing in, I mean, Danny Briere has been stupid busy over the last couple weeks, Lance.
Yeah, I mean, and he's had to get the pieces in place. Um, that are going to be needed. The coaching staff and all that has been, totally taken down and rebuilt back up here. So it's good that they got that done before the draft even.
I agree.
We know where we're kind of going with a Tocchet
Yes.
base system now and players that are going to best fit his new system. So yeah, let's get right into it, man.
All right. Well, first of all, speaking of players fitting into the systems,
Yeah.
okay? So we know that Danny Briere has been stupid busy, like I said earlier here, and he's been busy with his pen. And he's been and getting a lot of guys coming to sit down and go, hey, here, can you sign this piece of paper?
Right.
Right? We've gotten Noah Cage signed to a deal. We've got Tyson Forster signed to a deal, which that I think is of the ones, I think that's one of the most important ones.
Sure.
Is the Tyson Forster resigning and Helge Grans resigning as well, too. Lance, why don't you just walk through real quick
Right.
what you think about the Helge Grans, the Tyson
Sure.
Forster, and the Noah Cates resigning?
Well, the Helge Grans one was a no-brainer. I mean, it was, you know, he's going to be in the same kind of position as he was. He's going to be fighting to make an NHL roster. He's probably going to be an NHL player yet again next season, but he could be a decent call-up guy.
Yeah.
With Ristolainen still being hurt, he could be somebody that could get some NHL playing time next season. So no brainer to sign him back. Wasn't too costly. Smart move by Danny Briere. Then I believe the Tyson Forster deal was next. Great deal in my mind. A 2 years, $7.5 million. Comes out to about 375.
Great bridge deal.
A good bridge deal there. He scored 25 goals last season with 43 points. He really came on towards the end of the year once he got some more playing time with guys like Lawton and Forrester and Forrester, I'm sorry, with the guys that left and went. in Frost and all going to the Flames, opened up the lines a little bit, allowed him to get a little bit more playing time, and rightfully so. He was on my list to be drafted by the Flyers when they did.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
kudos to him.
yeah,
Kudos to Danny for signing him to a decent deal.
yeah.
But the one that really has my brain, me just scratching my brain here, is the Noah Cates deal.
I'm
All
with
right.
you.
All right. So Noah Cates, who is what? I think he's
8.
26. He's
Okay.
26 years old.
26. All right.
All
Sorry,
right.
my mistake.
4 years, $16 million. Now, if we take us back here, Scott Lawton was kind of traded. He was getting up there in age. He was 30, early
He was
30s, right? He was early
31,
30s.
32. I think he was.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
early 30s. But we traded him because we didn't feel we were getting enough production from him for making $3 million a season. All right.
3.5.
Yeah, I know he made 3 million, I think.
Okay.
Um,
I thought it was 3.5 or something
no,
like
no,
that.
I think he made $3 million
Okay.
a season. And then um you look at a guy like Frost. Frost was kind of the same thing. He wasn't producing enough. He didn't get to that level that we thought he was,
Yeah.
and he was kind of getting paid a little much for what kind of
Well,
production we were getting out of him.
I think he was getting
So,
what, 1.8?
no, I think he was up in the twos or something like that after his latest deal. But Noah Cates, he didn't have a bad year this season. He scored 16 goals and 37 points. 16 goals
Yeah.
is nothing to, be too shabby about, but
Not
you know,
40 million a year.
$4 million a year for Noah Cates? I don't know. I don't know. I think that's a little rich, even with the salary cap going up and all that, and having some money. Just because you have some cap space now, we just got out of that cap hell that the Flyers have been in for so long with the deals that Danny has been making and all that. And I think I think the Flyers are in love with Noah Cates a little more than they should be.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a good way to
he's a
put that,
versatile
man.
player. I mean, he can play wing, he can kind of play center.
I mean,
And
he's Scott Lawton-esque.
yeah, but I mean, we have that. We have that in Sean Couturier. We had that in Frost. We had that in Scott Lawton. We
Yeah,
had that in Noah Cates.
but that's what I mean. We're talking about Noah Cates. That's what I'm saying. He's
Like I
Scott
don't
Lawton-esque.
know.
Okay, look, I
He
get
had
it.
a season high in goals. I mean, 16
Yeah.
goals. Like, okay, I'll give him that. But I don't know. I think it was a little expensive. But
But I agree with you though, Lance. I think that re-signing for that amount of money and that amount of tenure is a bit of a dome scratcher, if you ask me. I agree with exactly what you said. I think the Flyers are a little bit more in love with Noah Cates than maybe what they should be. I would think would be more along the lines of like 2 or 3 years at maybe like 2.2 or $2.3 million a year is kind of where I would kind of see Noah Cates, because I kind of see him more as like that fourth line guy,
I
maybe
mean,
even a
especially
third line
especially if
guy.
you're going to be drafting, we all know that Danny wants to land a center early in the draft. He's made that pretty well known.
Yeah.
Um, you
And there
know,
might be some that we're going to talk about later.
Yep, and that's cool and everything, but you're there's some rumors out there of some other guys too. We won't really get into because they're just rumors right now, but he's been looking at trying to
Right.
draft some other centers as well in the free agency realm.
Yeah.
So where would Noah Cates really fit in my mind? I think they were playing him out of position on a left wing.
Yeah.
So you're going to pay him to play out of position. Why not just get a better left winger? I don't know. It doesn't make much sense to me, but we can move on.
Yeah. I mean,
We'll see how that all plays out, I think.
and exactly what we're going to do. And, I think one of the other reasons why he was signed, and I just wanted to say this one last thing. I think the reason why he was re-signed for the amount of time that he was re-signed for is because the experience that he has with the group of guys that are already in the room and with who is now being the head coach. Okay. I think that Noah Cates is a big Rick Tocchet kind of guy. Okay. He plays that. I mean, he plays that kind of style. He kind of fits in. He would be another message on the ice. I'm just assuming here, okay? That's just kind of the reason why I'm thinking that the Flyers did that with Noah Cates. Okay, so all right, enough
Let's hope
spinning
so.
wheels.
Let's hope so. I'm
I
not the
mean,
biggest
right?
Noah Cates
I'm
fan, but
trying to look. Yeah,
I don't dislike him either. But I don't know
right.
if I like him $4 million. So
Right. I just dislike him at 4 million. I'd much rather appreciate him more at like 2.2 or 2.3 million. You know what I mean? Right? Okay. So speaking of continuing to take care of business, Danny Briere, not only did he hire Rick Tocchet, who was probably the biggest name coach out there. I mean, he won the Jack Adams in 2024, right? And he's got a Stanley Cup ring with the as an assistant. So, all right. And the main I think the main reason why he was hired was because of what he did with Phoenix when Phoenix was rebuilding, because obviously the Flyers are rebuilding. So Danny Briere went out and got some assistant coaches, right? We got I believe he's a Czech Republic native,
yep.
Yaroslav Seversky, and
Yeah, so he worked under Rick Tocchet in Vancouver
right,
for a long time, while he
right,
was there, but he's been in Vancouver system for quite a long time.
yeah,
Um, you know, a pretty good coach. He just stepped up as the assistant coach over there. He was more of a skills coach. I
yeah.
think he's going to generally be our new power play coach, and anything's got to be better than what we had, a knuckle
You
dragging Rocky Thompson,
a bag
who
of
never
pucks would
stepped
be
foot
better.
on a power play ice anyway.
You know,
Running the power play, that made no sense at all.
you
So
know.
I'm welcoming in anybody. So it was good that Tocchet kind of got a guy that he's kind of going to be familiar with. He knows what to expect out of. He's been working with for the past couple of years. So I expected a signing like that. It was
Yeah,
good that we were able to steal him away from Vancouver in that regards.
right. But he also spent some time coaching some of the junior ranks.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So, and that was one thing that Rick Tocchet said in his press conference about guys that he would like to have on his staff. That he wouldn't have a problem with having an ex head coach on the staff, because that he said that kind of helps him kind of, they've been down the same road.
Hmm.
They kind of share some of the same experience, so they can kind of bounce ideas off of one another. You know what I mean? And I think you're going to get some of that too with Jay Verratti, right?
Yeah.
A United States coach, right? Really, I'm looking forward to seeing these two new coaches behind the bench here for the Flyers, Lance.
Yeah, I mean, Jay is a guy that is young. He's still in his 40s. As
Yeah,
far as coaches go, that's pretty young.
pretty young,
He's been a head coach at the AHL level before.
right?
He's worked as an assistant with the Detroit Red Wings for the past couple of years, and
Couple
so
years,
he's
yeah.
had some, and they're very young too, the Red Wings, and they've gotten a lot of young guys in, and he's had a lot of success with coaching those young guys. So to the point where he was even getting some looks as a possible head coach option for other teams.
Right.
So it'll be interesting. I thought, I don't dislike either one of those coaching
Agreed.
choices.
Agreed.
Um, so overall, for him building his staff, I like what Rick Tocchet has put out there. And it brings new blood in. Rick Tocchet is kind of that guy with is linked to the Flyers for so long, and he was so beloved here. It was good that
Right.
I think anyway that at least he didn't do a whole ex Flyers reunion. As of yet, there's still one spot open, so we still could bring in somebody
Okay. Well,
that used to wear the black and orange. But I like his picks. I like his picks still. So
okay. And I do too, Lance. I'm cautiously optimistic about these coaches. They do come with a little bit of background in coaching, and not just an ex-player that used to be an enforcer that's
A
now in
friend
charge
of
of power
somebody or
play.
something. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like these guys have purpose. These guys
Hmm.
have, some background behind them, some coaching background,
Right.
right? So I think it's going to be nothing but good for the Flyers, especially a developing program with a lot of. I mean, Flyers are going to be what, the fifth youngest team in the league, right? I mean,
Well,
or
it
something
depends.
like
It
that.
depends how it can still shake out. Whether they
Right,
do get somebody pretty young
right,
that can
right,
step up. It
right.
always
But
see how it
at,
shakes out.
at this point, with potentials of Luchenko making the team, and some of the other younger guys, Emil Andre making the team potentially, Helge Grans making the team potentially. There's and other guys, that are going to be coming in like Bonk or Bump even too. You know what I mean? And there's all kinds of other guys that potentially could make this team that are going to be really young. Okay, so speaking of coaches, we've had a major shift in not just the head coaching of the Philadelphia Flyers, but now we have a major shift in the head coaching of the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, where Ian LePerriere has been not relieved of duties of head coaching, but not brought back as head coach. He is now going to be in the front office as an advisory role for Ian LePerriere, and now the search is on for the head coach of the Phantoms.
Yeah.
Hey,
I
Lance.
don't get it. I don't get it. I'm I like to say I'm an acquaintance or so with Ian. I talk to him occasionally,
Yeah,
message him or whatever, and
yeah.
you know,
We covered him
can't
at
yeah,
during the
yeah,
playoffs.
but you can't find a nicer guy. I think
Agreed.
he went back to back, taking the Phantoms to the playoffs in the
Right.
past 2 seasons. He went up and lost against Hershey. I think the team played hard against Hershey. Hershey won the past 2 seasons prior. In the AHL, they won the Calder Cup. So I mean, it's not like it's a team that he was even expected to win against,
That's
that his
true.
team lost to in the playoffs. It's kind of a head scratcher. In my mind, I really wouldn't have minded him coming back. I think that's his niche. I think he worked well when he
Yeah.
was a player development coach. I
Yeah.
think
That's
he
what he's
worked
going to do now.
well when he was taken off the bench by the Flyers and sent down to the Phantoms, and he took on that role and did it pretty well. Obviously, like I just said, taking the team to the playoffs for 2 seasons in a row. So,
Agreed.
um, hopefully he likes his new role within the Flyers, and I'm glad they didn't get rid of him entirely.
Yeah.
And he's still around the organization and kind of, you know, um, put in his 2 cents, I guess, now, and
Yeah.
in terms of being up there with Danny and maybe in his ear a little bit and how he
I mean, I guess we'll see,
things
right?
go. I don't know. I don't know.
I guess we'll see. But he does kind of have a very intimate knowledge of the current team, and it would behoove the Flyers to keep Lappy around at least until this crop, makes it up through, uh, uh, you know, to the big club or however it's going to pan out. You know what I
Sure.
mean? At least for the next year or two. And this was something that we talked about at the very beginning when LePerriere was brought in as the coach of the Phantoms, where he was basically was given the Phantoms and said, "Okay, Ian, do what you need to do,"
Right.
and he did what he needed to do,
You really
and he
did.
came up with his own systems and the whole nine yards. And the Flyers now realize that you need to have the AHL team and the NHL team both coaching the same system.
Let's hope so. Let's hope they get that.
Okay, or some facsimile thereof, because it was so very evident when a player would come from the Phantoms up to the Flyers, they were, I mean, okay, yeah, you're skating around and that's all fine and great, but they looked a lot lost. It took them too many games to get acclimated with what was going on with the Flyers based off of what was going on with the Phantoms. Does that make sense?
It does, and I think Tortorella's systems are a little dated. I mean, he's been a coach for a long time. Um, Not saying that I agree with all of Ian LaPerriere's coaching styles either.
Right.
If I was the coach of the team, which I'm not,
Mm,
obviously, I would have a whole different setup of plays and how to breakouts and as far as breakouts go and
agreed.
different power play setups and stuff like that. So I
Agreed.
mean, I think we would all coach it a little bit differently, but I do agree with you. I think that at some point. How the NHL team is run and how the teams that are effective, let's say, in the sense of bringing prospects up and having them be able to jump in day one with the NHL club and be effective, run very similar systems. That's very true. I mean, it almost makes too much sense. So,
I mean, excuse me. All you have to do is look at the current defending Stanley Cup champions right now, the Florida Panthers, where their AHL team, the Charlotte Checkers, are just running ruckshot to the Calder Cup right now. They're in the finals.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And those guys that have been called up are able to just step right in.
Mhm.
You need to be able to have that same kind of system going on in the AHL that you got in the NHL. I'm just saying, Lance, you and I have been talking about that for how long now?
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a
Right.
while for sure.
Okay. So now that Ian LaPerriere's got a new job, now Danny's going to be looking for a new AHL coach for the Phantoms, and I'm going to be interested to see who that voice is going to be. Very interested to see who that's going to be. And with that being said, there's going to be a lot of young players coming into the AHL team and or such. With the draft very fast approaching, Lance, we are less than 3 weeks away from the coveted NHL draft. And this past weekend was the NHL scouting combine
Yep.
held in Buffalo. And Lance, you and I both know that there are a list as long as our arm of kids that even we talk to that are going to be available for the Philadelphia Flyers in the first round with 3 picks.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be
So,
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about this real quick. The prospects, the Flyers were able to bring in and interview were rumored to be James Haggins, um, amazing young centerman.
Yep.
Jackson Smith, a
Mm-hmm.
big defenseman that we interviewed on Prospect Watch. Jake O'Brien, who I had as being
And
my
yeah,
first
the Flyers
selection
mock
in my
draft. Yeah.
my annual NHL or Flyers mock draft. Brady Martin, who is another center.
Yep.
We all know Danny Briere is coveting a center,
Center.
probably
Yeah.
with that first pick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Victor Eglin, Roger McQueen, who we had on
Yeah.
the show as
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
and our boy in net, right, from
Aaliyah
Switzerland.
Newenswander.
Yes,
Um,
yes,
and
my favorite
also,
goaltender in the draft.
yeah, and also Ravens Bergen.
Yes, yep,
Josh Ravens
Josh,
Bergen, right?
yep,
So
another guest of ours. Both, you know, um, both
I
of
have
those
it pegged.
goaltenders we had on the show as well, and both those guys I really like. Obviously, that's
Yeah.
kind of why we had them in on the show, and
Hello.
it's nice to see that some of the players that we had on the show, the Flyers are bringing in to possibly interview
Uh,
and are interested in. So kudos to
yeah.
them.
I'm convinced. I am highly convinced that we are going to see one of the players that we interviewed, Lance, is going to be drafted by the Philadelphia Flyers.
Hopefully multiple with three
Uh,
first round picks and 4 second round picks.
okay, right? So I'm gonna call it out right here and now that one of the players that you and I interviewed on our Prospect Watch show, hop on over to steelflyers.com/links/Prospect Watch show to catch all of the latest Prospect Watch shows where you can see interviews with Lance and I doing Matthew Schaefer, the previously mentioned Aaliyah Newenswander, the Jackson Smith. And then you can also check us out with doing some of the guys that are going to be coming up in the next draft from 2026 and 2027 from Tynan Lawrence and Rocco Pelosi. Hop on over to Prospect Watch and check us out, man, for sure, for sure. Lance, I'm guaranteeing you there's going to be a kid that we interviewed that's going to be drafted by the Flyers. I guarantee it. And one of the players that we drafted is going to go number one overall. I just have that feeling. I just have it.
Hopefully, hopefully.
You know, right? But the Flyers have put themselves, Danny has put themselves in a really, really awesome position to have a lot of draft capital this coming draft. And I can't wait to see what they do. You know, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting in the next couple of weeks for sure. So with that being said, Steele, I think we should leave it at that.
Yeah.
And wrap the show on that note. It's
Yep.
going to be an interesting off season. It's already turning up. To be good in our minds. So man, let's just leave it at that. And
Yeah, I
I
agree.
can't wait to see what the Flyers do in the coming days and the coming weeks, especially.
Exactly, especially with the draft coming up for sure. Be looking for some new stuff coming out here with everybody all involved here at steelflyers.com and including maybe some new steelflyers.com stuff. I didn't let any of that out of the bag. Oh, no, sorry. Anyway, hop on over to lowercaseblues.net and check out Jake and the boys and all the great stuff they got going over there. They got their swag, they got tour dates, and all kinds of stuff over there. Check them out, lowercaseblues.net. Thank you very much, Jake, for all you guys do, man. Really appreciate that. Thank you to all the Facebook groups. Really appreciate you guys out there for putting us out there and allowing us to put all of our content out there on your Facebook page. Thank you all very much for that. Really appreciate that. Lance, really appreciate all you do, man. Really can't say it enough. Also, big props and thanks to Frame for doing all the great videos and all the great shorts. Man, oh man, oh man, can't say thank you enough for our video editor for doing a smashing job. The last 4 videos are all up over 1,000. Thank you very much for all you folks out there. Also, thank you very much for getting us a top 10 ranked Philadelphia Flyers centric podcast. That's right, folks. We are ranked number 10 in all of Philadelphia Flyers podcasts. I'm your co-host, Ron Steel Flyers. And we will catch you all on the next episode of the Hockey Writers Ink.